Afternoon, darlings. So 2 weeks after my last video, I am back, and this time our focus is going to be on the partial solar eclipse tomorrow, the 29th of March. So that's an interesting day. 29th of March was the day, the birthday of my dog, Happy. So app is always that very important AP. A is 1, P is 16. So yeah, interesting. That makes 116 or 911 if you flip the 6-9. So my birthday is the 26/6, and tomorrow we have this very important closing solar eclipse. We're closing a very big cycle. We're closing a cycle from Pisces, so 2012 to 2025 is 13 years, and 13 years is that central pivot place where you become the observer, you become the eye of the beholder. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. 13. So this is really that passage. We have a lot to talk about today. I just saw in the newspapers Tesla is over. Tesla is 369. That was my focus in my last video. 3 Gemini, 6 Virgo, 9 Sagittarius, and can you find the 12th door, the capstone, Pisces, before we become fixed back on the fixed cross? So you know that we've got this passage, we've got Saturn, which is about to leave for Hitler's birthday, just the day before. Saturn enters Aquarius. No, Saturn enters Pisces, sorry. Saturn enters Pisces on that 19/20th. So yeah, on the 19th, the 20th, Saturn will enter Pisces, and that is really like in Pulp Fiction, that is the last cleanup. So Pisces is the abyss, it's the unconscious collective, it's the dream world, it's the state of belief, it's the empire. So, and we're leaving, Saturn has spent from COVID 2020 going through his own home in domicile, and now we reach the home of Jack, Pierre. This is J.P. Morgan. This is the Pierre, the stone, which is found between the mutable cross, JM 369, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. So this is your last chance to find that place between your own belief programs, your own ability to find your spiritual getaway, you know, your ability to be in this world but not of this world, to get off the amusement park, the app, the AP, the Amélie Poulain, the Austin Powers, the planet of the apps. This is the Abbey Pierre. That's why my village is the AP, Abbey Pierre. It is that moment between, it is the gap. It's the gap. It's the ability to find the mutable cross, the fixed cross, the cardinal cross. So when that water comes out of the hose pipe in that cardinal push, and then it creates an arc, the fixed middle cross, and then you have the patterning of the mutable. So that hose, the water coming out, the fountain of life, is the 3 crosses in one: cardinal, arc, and the ability to spread the information, mutable, to be the teachers, the adapters, the learners. That is the whole point of the mutable cross of Jupiter. So Jupiter is your learning, growing, expanding, adapting, and fixed is when you get straight. You come off thinking the summer solstice is the true north. Summer solstice, Prince William's birthday. He is born as the sun sits on the wand of Merlin in between that silver gateway. We're leaving now Gemini on the summer solstice and we're coming into Taurus, ruled by Venus, the torchbearer, the light, the lamb. When the true lamb is when the sun enters Aquarius on the 16th of February, 162, which is the same as the 216. So it's about being the lamb, the thalamus. To be the lamb is when you can merge mutable, fixed, cardinal, and you can see through this amusement park and you can let go of being trapped in artificial belief programs. You know, this is the Chat GPT. It is the gap where you find your thalamus, you find your third eye. So let's look at this eclipse coming up. So as I'm coming to you now, the day before the eclipse on the 28th, we have got a very, very black moon, just with this tiny weeny slither, conjunct to Saturn, still in Aquarius, and moon has just entered Pisces as I begin to speak. So Pisces is ruled by Jupiter, and Neptune is the modern day ruler of Pisces, and Neptune is right here as well. So we enter this new age of Neptune in Pisces for 15 years, as in the days of the Industrial Revolution, the days of creating, you know, the Victorian era, the age of finding out about the unconscious realm, the time of Jung and Freud, and you know, this is all, that's why we've got so much mental health coming in now. Pisces is a very difficult area, and we have a lot of planets for this solar eclipse, which will be the next 6 months vibe, and the next month will be under this new moon. So Easter Day coming up, and the day that Saturn enters Pisces, we will be under this new moon in Pisces energy. So we've got Mercury still blind, conjunct to Neptune. Mercury, Neptune conjunct, moon, Saturn conjunct, Venus still retrograde, Mercury still retrograde, the sun all on this whale's tail, and we're going to have this splash. So let's watch Venus moving forwards. So we've got that new moon happening tomorrow for where I am at midday tomorrow. So I'm coming to you right on this last little close up, and I want to talk to you about just about how big this, you know, this coming explosion, this bang, this splash is going to be, because this is all about, you know, the good thing is that Saturn is still in Aquarius for this new moon and this eclipse, because that means that we've just got that stable anchor. We've got that stable anchor, and as North Node will now move from Pisces into Aquarius, so the next eclipses that we have in the fall, we will have the North Node in Aquarius. So for this last eclipse, we've got Saturn in Pisces, which gives us that fixability, and we've also got Jupiter in Taurus, and we've got this last leg, this square, this 7, this last angle that we have to find, and Uranus under the Popeye. So this is literally Popeye O, live. Olive is O, water. O, lives. This is your ability to, you know, really master the mutable and the fixed cross. And it's all about what is your spiritual values. We've got Jupiter in Taurus, values, and Venus that rules Taurus in Pisces right next to Mercury. So Venus and Mercury, the rulers of Gemini. Mercury rules Gemini and Venus rules Taurus, and we have Mars and Jupiter, the rulers of the other side of this Milky Way gap. On the other side, Sagittarius and Scorpio. So it's really this journey between mutable and fixed, all the way mutable Gemini, fixed Taurus. Uranus is now fully in Taurus for 7 years. He's done his last retrograde dance. As we know, we've had since 2022 this war to find your head, to find your Ukraine, to get your Putin, to get yourself upright, to be able to be here, but to have the ability to use Pisces in the best possible way to create your imagination, your dreams, to manifest. And there's more and more of this going on. You will attract exactly what you believe. You are what you think you are. And, you know, you have to find that balance between fear and love. You have to find that realistic midway point. And we also now have to be aware of the cycles. So this is a huge cycle from 2012 to now. As I say, that's 13 years. And we're also ending 30 years. Well, this time now for all those of us born in the Rosemary babies time, all of us, the X marks the spot generation. Many of us are now going to be, we're going to have our 30-year, our second Saturn return. And then we will begin completely a new cycle as then Saturn enters Aries. But we have a lot of us who will be very vulnerable or very powerful as we step into our power. We have a very, we've got this capstone, which is activated, Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, Pluto in Capricorn, and Uranus in Taurus. So we've really got this capstone. And the X, Y, Z generation is really that last trinity before a whole new cycle begins. So there's a lot of stuff which has been coming up with this energy of this eclipse. So a lot, Pisces is the lymphatic system. It is how you clean out your system. And if you're still attached to belief programs, then we still have this, this infestation. So Alien, the film The Alien was the parasite in the gut, in the stomach. And this is a journey from the gut, from the intestines to the heart, to the head, those three phases that have to be completely connected. If you're driven by your lower belt desires and your head working together, then you're missing the heart. And if you're thinking just with your head and your heart, then you're not connected to, you're not anchored, you're not grounded. So it's finding that proper connection between the three phases, between Lilith, Sophia, and Eve, the light bearer. So Eve is coming in. We've got this coming year, we have got Jupiter entering Pisces, and look, we've got this chart set up here for where I live, for Auch, where Prince William came. We've got Gemini Sirius right on the ascendant. So there you see Uranus right on Algol, making a lovely sextile to Pluto and a semi-sextile to the eclipse going on. And we can see we've really got the north-south node right on the tip at the end of this feminine axis of Jupiter and Mercury. So Mercury, the ruler, is completely blinded, in detriment, in fall, in Pisces, and Venus, the ruler of Taurus, where Jupiter is sitting on the bullseye, is also retrograde. So let's just watch their movement now, as they are going to be moving. So they continue as a couple. So that will be the first quarter moon on the 5th. And they are not going to, they're going to move forward at exactly the same for the coming full moon. And that full moon on the 13th is again, it's going to be on Spica. So we have got, you know, we're not out of the coronavirus axis, coronavirus, Pisces. And by that time, Saturn will still be in Aquarius. And then the sun will become exalted in Aries for that Easter day. That is going to be the Easter day. But we've then got Venus and Mercury moving forward, and Saturn that will begin, as I say. For me, that is really what this next 3 years is going to be, of Saturn in Pisces. There'll probably be a retrograde back to Aquarius. But this is cleanup. Okay, back to now. So Mars is now just at the end of Gemini, and we have no fire at all. The only fire we had was the fire we had when we had the moon in Sagittarius. We had fires all over England, and we had the beginning of that with an explosion at Heathrow. So I have been doing a lot of work. I will have a lot to show you, but I did just want to talk about the feelings for this eclipse. Is really, this is going to be the ability for people to understand that narcissism comes from, it is a parasite that has overtaken your autopilot. You're not the captain of your ship. You have had some kind of trauma. You've had a shock to your heart, and an entity has come in to take over. So, this cycle for me personally, the closing of this 18-year cycle of the North Node and South Node is from 2007 till now. And that is for all of us of my generation of 68, the Rosemary babies. We will have had this same. So when I was 18, I got married. And then my next 18-year cycle ended 2007. I left my married home of 18 years and I went to Paris, and then I had my awakening in 2010, but 2007 was a big move. It was a big cycle. And now I find myself at the end of another cycle because I've got my North Node right here. And so many of us will be having this same experience, and I'm going to be showing you a lot of things that connect to this with my posts in Facebook about us, the 57-year-olds. So 57 is 12, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's a completion. It's the completion of a cycle. And, you know, we have to keep moving. This is why we've got the spiral being shown in the sky. Otherwise you get stuck in a loop. You can't get stuck in a loop. You have to keep growing, evolving, moving, changing, as long as we are, you know, able to have a physical experience. We need to keep moving. And that is the importance of the planets and their cycles. I've just done a video on Patreon that you can buy, which I explain. I do an introduction to a video to what you need to know when you have a reading with me. And I talk about these cycles. So I'm going to go ahead and start looking at posts, because I have so much on my mind that I'm just getting stuck looking at. Everything will come back. So this post just shared before I came to you, I think brilliantly just shows these spirals which we've always had. And this is so much, this gap, as always. It's the spring. It is. And, you know, this is really where we are. This is the Milky Way. This is the north-south node is right on that gap. And we're ending a loop of 18 years. So that is the loop. I love this image showing the two directions. And there you've got the torso field. You've got the hourglass. You've got that break-even point, that space between each breath. This is why the treble note and the bass, this is just the bass and the treble of sound. And there you've got the S, the sine wave, masculine, feminine, that's all. So the loop, your ego wants you to stay in a loop, repeating the same cycle over and over again. This is what feels comfortable and safe to the egoic mind, since this is all that it knows. The spiral, your intuition calls you to make gradual changes in your life that lead towards ongoing evolution, development, and transcendence. Pure consciousness can see past the repeating cycles of the mind and urges you to move beyond what you think you know. So, you know, it's time for many of us to get ready and to move on. And that's what Uranus's job is. Uranus is here to keep us moving. So nebula, cloud, mist, from Latin nebula, mist, vapor, fog, smoke, exhalation, darkness, obscurity. So this is all Pisces. Pisces is the darkness. It is the last darkness. It's the fog. It's where you have to travel and turn the light switches on as you're walking through the fog. This is very scary for the opposite sign, Virgo. Virgo likes to be very analytical and to have everything organized in little boxes. And Pisces is about jumping off the plank into the deep ends. A realm of the dead in Norse mythology, from Old Norse mist dark, so that's Niflheim. The stellar gateway chakra, also known as the divine gateway, is one of the higher or transcendental chakras. This chakra is the gateway to the cosmos. It serves as a bridge between all the chakras, spiritual essence, and the universe. It is a connection point to the source and higher realms. It is a high frequency light that builds profound spiritual connections, facilitating access to higher realms of knowledge and wisdom. The divine gateway is a very pale blue. This is a sign of grand activation on a collective scale. The aura of spiral activity is a direct reflection of what is happening within the space of self. When you recognize what home is, you become one, as a spiral is a spiritual circuitry. This comes from the heart earth chakra to the stellar divine portals, flower, emotion, Merkaba. Beautiful. That is a post from Holly Burks. Absolutely perfect, which leads us to the pictures that I just took pictures of in the newspapers this morning we have got the ex-French president, and we have got this massive 7 chakras, the last leg, and he's been given 300,000. So this is the Trinity, 7 and 3, 7 chakras, and the capstone. NicOlas means victory to the people. This is the NicOlas Tesla. It's when you find, you know, that you are the Tesla, you are the energy, you are the torso fields. So I just wanted to look up what Sarkozy means. Example sentences. The murderer who must be saved largely concerns allegations over former French President NicOlas Sarkozy in relationship with the Gaddafi regime. So, you know, it is all about his connection. So interesting because today NicOlas Tesla, Elon Musk is being completely stopped. Sword in the stone, it's the T, and also Sarkozy is being accused. And so with him, a whole generation of people, you know, Sarkozy represents a whole generation of people which are out of the picture now. So our generation, 1968, the Saturn in Pisces generation, the whole X generation, the Pluto and Leo generation, and then there's those of us who are just that end of Pluto and Leo, but then we have Uranus in Virgo, so we are the bridge generation. I'll come to that in a minute. So this is also in the front paper. We've got the jackpot. This is about, you know, finding the pot of gold, finding the chest, the torso of gold. We've got Jupiter in Taurus. It's the torso field. It's your chest. And 9, 2, 4, 3 makes 9. So it's a 3, 6, 9. We're at the Tesla. Absolutely. So look. They're showing you 22, which is the Hebrew alphabet. It's the BB. It is, you know, their jackpot. They got the Euro Millions. So a machine, a money-making machine, and your dreams. So, I mean, that you can't get more than Jupiter in Taurus on the jackpot, on the bullseye, and Jupiter, the ruler of where Venus, the mutual reception going on. This is the jackpot. This is the Popeye, the sailor man. This is literally, this is it. And we've got Saturn conjunct to the moon before the moon comes. You know, and this is really this subconscious realm. So between cash, Jupiter in Taurus, and dreams, Venus in Pisces. The machine, can you manifest your dreams now? So this guy was the last person to win that much, and he's called PB, which is 16-2, the true thalamus. Sun enters Aquarius on the 16th of February. Or the torchbearer, the light bearer, Venus, which will, you know, we're going to have Jupiter and the Sun just in that gap between Taurus and Gemini, Mercury and Venus, as Mercury and Venus are right now going over the whale's tail. That splash is coming. So 26, he's showing you 26 is the 8, it's the wheel, it's the Orus Boreas, it's the perfect Aleph Tav passage. So we've got Gaddafi, Sarkozy, Saturn, and Jupiter. And we've got this leg, this absolute connection. So if we look here, Jupiter is at 20 and Saturn is at 28 Aquarius. So they're still just at the last degree of where that angle will no longer be considered to be perfectly square. So here we've got Paris, so we've got Paris, London, and the Ukraine. And we've got Paris in the middle, And then we've got this new Elizabeth line between the Ukraine and England, showing you that Trinity. Five Ryanair. Ryan means little king, and air. So, you know, Ryanair, I always show you my Mary Ryan, Saving Private Ryan. Private Ryan, they show you the gap as they come off. Mary Ryan, portraits, gallery. So there's my great-great-grandmother, Mary Ryan, as the wildflower. It's not the image I wanted. I wanted the, so, you know, she was all this time, the last time that Neptune was in Pisces was the time of the life of my Mary Ryan. And as you know, my best girlfriend, who's born absolutely opposite me. We're the Virgo Pisces. She's the 26th of October. I'm the 26th of March. And that is, she's Virgo, I'm Pisces. So where is, I gotta get Mary Ryan portraits gallery. So there it is. So that, you know, that's in the air, Mary Ryan. So this is coming up, the Mayday Queen, Mayday, help me. And they show you the upside down Venus with the imposter. They've got 6 here, which I always show you. So Mary Ryan. Allée de l'Avent. So we've got the black and yellow and the green and the V for victory. So the loss of God. Départ means to leave God. 18 months of prison. So this is showing us the end of 18 months of the North-South node and the famous French actor. They're all being exposed. These old suckers in him. So what's that? Cobra killer against Easter man. So Cobra is the top, it's the head, the Cobra, and Easter is the equinox. So we're going to have sun as soon as this eclipse is over. For the eclipse, we've got rain, and then we've got the sunshine. We're now this new moon in the home of Jupiter. So there, this is the closure of that. I told you that there was this Catholic school in Pau that was called Beta, like the Beta Cool, the Bethlehem. Okay, well, I was talking about that, this school that I showed you before, which is at, well, they don't give the name. So Beirut 73, that's always the L. So they don't give the name. Okay, that's what I was looking for. Our Lady of Bet, a ram. So the ram, the Bethlehem, and the ram, Aries. Aries still on the ascendant when it's now Aquarius, the lamb. So that was another story. This is another Catholic establishment that doesn't have enough staff, being closed. Okay, so we've got the 12th. It's always the cycle, Leclerc. This is at Auch, the capital of Auch, where the lion gates is. So they're showing you the world tarot card 21, Mercury retrograde 21 days, and that is the hole and the gap and the 21 in the middle. Then there was at this oasis ABC Oasis. Wednesday morning on the 26th, there was an enormous explosion in Casabon, which is exactly on the 00 line. Oops. Okay, so this Tempo Latino, so, you know, that's South America. South America, we have here, for the past 30 years, we have this event of salsa, you know, so that is marking the cycle of Saturn, the 30th edition, and that is the end. Okay, this is very interesting. I found this on somebody's line. These are smart meters, and we've got a French politician who is called NicOlas, victory to the people, Dupont, the bridge, Aignan. So his name is Dupont Aignan, the bridge Aignan, and Aignan is the name of my village. And you know that Aignan, I was filming. I get confused. So I'm honestly, this Mercury retrograde in Pisces. So there's Aignan, and there's 32290. So that is the summer solstice, the spring equinox. I'll be taking you to that. And that is that 5-pointed star. So that's his name, Nicolas Dupont Aignan. And he is exposing the scam. He's not telling you how dangerous they are for you. But what does that really mean? So that comes out on the 26th of March. So on my birthday, the 26th of March, that comes out. And this is how they tell you a smart meter breakdown. So smart, it's a meter of how, you know, have you awakened your third eye? Those of us with brains, Brian's made sure we never had one of these in our home. So this came out on my 57th birthday on the 26th of March by Nicolas Dupont Aignan, talking about smart meters. In French, smart meter is a linky, and a link is a lien. So a lien is an alien, an alien, an alien, a link. So once you relink, then you will no longer be taken over by entities and parasites, and you know, you are fully the 13th, the beholder, remote controlling your own experience. We're here, we all have to be here together, we've come for a reason, yet we're not, you know, under the illusions, we're not in a belief program, we're able to consciously not, you know, not be in the fear or over in the love, and find that middle ground. So in French, smart meter is a linky, a link, a lien, a lion. This politician is called Nicolas. The name Nicolas is of Greek origin, meaning victory of the people. So when you find you're smart, when you're your own meter of your own intelligence, it's the name of our village. So our village is Aignan. Aig is egg. It's a silent G in French. So we say Aignan. N is the North Polaris, or it's the hate. You know, are you either smart enough to not fall in the hate? So this is why where I am is really that love-hate extreme, and why the book, the Abbé Pierre, was written. Millionaires don't use astrologers, billionaires do. JP Morgan, that is your mutable cross, Jupiter, Mercury, and to find the Pierre, the stone, the P in the middle. Our village is the 5-pointed North Star, direct line to Pic de Midi Pau. That's why we've got all this going on. From Paris to Pau, we had Michel Barnier, 73 years old. And then now we've got François Bayrou, 73 years old. And that is your LL3773. And he's now going to demission as well. But that was just to show you the gap between the North Polaris line. So 5-point North Star, direct line to the Pic de Midi Pau, Polaris, Abbey Pierre. It is the bridge between your brain. Brian is the gap, mind the gap. We are the new Solstice line, hence why Prince William came here in 2016. 216 is his birthday. Sun sits on the wand of Merlin, the gap between right, left hemispheres of your brain. The link, the A-lion, true north, 16-2, sun enters the spring, lamb, your thalamus, be the lamb, third eye in Aquarius, not Gemini, the trick or treat. So it's a scandal, 5.7 million euros. So this was brought out on the 26th of March, talking about the Rosemary babies being the link, the X marks the spot, our generation that have Saturn in Pisces, and now Saturn is coming back into Pisces. We are the link. We've got Pluto in Leo, Pluto in Virgo. We are that link between the 311, Leo, Virgo, opposite 911, Pisces, Aquarius. And that is where the South North, the snake, the gap is moving now. So, la cour de compte, so the square of accounts, your count. So CC is the spine. Spine pole, relève enfin. So the heart of the accounts has at last announced in a report that the amount that this cost to install, qui dure 4 fois, moins que les présents. Yeah, so they're just showing you the numbers. All for one, one for all, the 4 corners of the brain, the 4 humors. So, you know, it's, some people take all this first degree. It's somebody very, you know, this was shared thinking that it's not about the money scam. It's about this linky is a measure of your ability to reach the jackpot, to reach the third eye. This is where, look, 88 million, that is your constellations. We're at the closure points. And that's what they just keep telling us. So I first awoke with a jump. I sat up one morning and gasped, oh, we are all one. So that happened to me in 2010 in Paris. It was a Kundalini experience from total exhaustion of my amusement park life, AP. I was on my exact Uranus opposition. Many people have awakenings for their opposition between 42 and 45 years old. The world is like a ride in an amusement park, and when you choose to go on it, you think it's real because that's how powerful our minds are. The ride goes up and down, around and around. It has thrills and chills, and it's very brightly colored, and it's very loud, and it's fun for a while. Many people have been on the ride a long time, and they begin to wonder, hey, is this real or is this just a ride? And other people have remembered that they come back to us and say, hey, don't worry, don't be afraid ever, because this is just a ride. And we kill those people. Remember, this is Bill Hicks. Shut him up. I've got a lot invested in this ride. Shut him up. Look at my furrows of worry. Look at my big bank account and my family. This has to be real. It's just a ride. But we always kill the good guys who try and tell us that. You ever notice that? And let the demons run amok. Our parasites, our entities that take over, our shadow selves. But it doesn't matter because it's just a ride, and we can change it anytime we want. It's only a choice. No effort, no work, no job, no savings of money. Just a simple choice right now between fear and love. The eyes of fear want you to put bigger locks on your doors, buy guns, close yourself off. The eyes of love instead see all of us as one. Here's what we can do to change the world right now. Do a better ride. Take all that money we spend on weapons, defenses each year, and instead spend it on feeding and clothing and educating the poor of the world, which it would pay for many times over, not one human being excluded, and we could explore space together, both inner and outer, forever in peace. So obviously Bill Hicks is just a joker, but they're there to help. And I remember that was a very big phrase for me when I woke up in 2010, and I put that with this, that you can read. There is much said these days about spiritual awakening, the trials and tribulations that accompany it. After a time upon this journey, you realize you were always here, just distracted by time. If you remain attached to the distractions, you will suffer, lose coming into the light, yet clinging to the darkness. So, you know, these entities, parasite cleansing, it's just about your ability to let go of being afraid and being autopiloted by your defense mechanism, you know, to be on the defensive, to be triggered, to have your furrows, to take things seriously. Yesterday, some big truth I got in, I'll show you in a minute, but I'm in a typical example of how the ego is still running your experience. You realize you were always enlightened, but were distracted by the world before you. When all falls away, as in death, you realize you were there always. You simply didn't know who you were. You are the one who is always there, without the names and titles. Know thyself, be in the world, but know you are not of it. So, okay, so let's get into this. So I shared this yesterday, and this is a friend who had shared this from another guy, from this truther, JJ. So he came onto my page and asked to be a friend, but it was just to get angry with poor Ra, who just, you know, shared that in good intentions. You know how you see a post and you share, I mean, it's obvious. We all know that that is the Starry Night from Van Gogh. Oops. Wow, dude, you could have shared my post instead of copying it. And then I didn't comment on any of it because it's just silly. So Ra tries to say sorry, but you know, it's just shocking to see the one post I made that took off after being shadow banned for years, just coming off a 30-day ban. It's being passed off as others as their own. So, you know, that's when you're in that energy of competition and ego, and, you know, and Ra just says, ultimately, aren't you happy the knowledge is getting out there? I would be. These kind of things happen to me a lot too. Different strokes for different folks. Great connection, man. Speaks volumes. Sure, there's a whole mountain of connections right around. So, I mean, you just can tell there are so many ego-filled fake truthers out there. Basically, just look at the people who are passing you messages. Are they people who have got rid of their addictions, who found harmony, who are creating? Because we're here to find that perfect balance within the spiral and to not get stuck in the loop, to not be stuck in the flower of life, and to find that eternal spiral in the right connection. So, you know, that is a good little image of what it's like for anybody married, you know, going through trying to how difficult it is for our children and how impossible it is to try and just protect your children from a narcissist. So I spent many years with that. That was a very scary time in my life. So this is a very good post from Angie Hicks, who just, you know, explains that so if I go slowly, you can read that. We've got so much to look at, so much. This is really the ultimate time. You know, that's why they've just found below the pyramids. It's just showing you your body. You are the Tesla coil. And that's what she puts in her post. So I just add TESS L.A WOMBMAN Tess of the d'Urberville. TESS means harvester, to reap. TESS Tissier. So we're going to have, for this first quarter moon, we just saw that chart. We're going to have on the 5th of April, we're going to have the moon on, we'll have the moon will be, was it for the full moon? No, wow. So it's going to be on Pollux with Mars, and then for the full moon, it's going to be on TESS d'Urberville. So that could be a date. Means TESS Tissier means the weaver of the dreams. Spider-Man, Andrew Crosse, mutable age 369 is Gemini VirgO Sagittraius. It's the Andrew Crosse. So some famous YouTuber died at 36 years old. I think I covered that in my last video with you. And I told you Andrew Crosse is the famous man that created spiders from electricity. You know, it's about Spider-Man, the Weaver, Rumpelstiltskin, the brainstem, the arm. It's all about finding the connection between the medulla oblongata, the torch, to hold the torch, to light the torch is your brainstem. So the tisserand or weaver knew how to weave fabrics by hand or machine. Again, I say NicOlas means victory to the people. We found our power. We found our light. The female equivalent was called a tisserand. Andrew Crosse was a British scientist who was born and died at Finn Court, Broomfield, Somerset. Crosse was an early pioneer and experimenter in the use of electricity, became known after press reports of electrocrystallization experiment he conducted in 1836, during which insects appeared. So this is all why NicOlas has gone to prison today. I showed you the French ex-prime minister and why his wife is called Carla Bruni. Anyway, so she writes that brilliantly. You read that. Okay, so this is a great post as well. I had my Kundalini awakening in 2010. Then you have to clean the parasites that are attached and the entities. It takes time and total commitment. 6 years later, I had my third eye. Are we filming? Yeah. I had my third eye pop golden implosion experience. I was still attracting. I was living with a narcissist then, but it wasn't until recently I got completely clean of the patterns and the cycles. So really from 2007 to now has been my years of no longer smoking marijuana, no longer drinking alcohol, really just getting rid of addictions and becoming that central pivot, which the younger generation are very good at. But our generation, we've been through a lot and it takes us longer. And both my children are, they don't drink or smoke, and they're very, very strong, even if they had quite an atrocious, very scary years of my divorce. But they have come out really strong, which for me is all that matters. I was still attracting none, and it wasn't until I got completely clean of the patterns and cycles. They are everywhere. It's a full-time job. Like parasites, you have to stay gut, mind, and spirit clean. It's a huge job to cleanse humanity. It will take generations and generations of cleanup. If you watch TV and films, news, politics, and mainstream culture and Netflix, you're still under the spell. Got to learn how to get spiritually clean. Sadly, most people are not ready to do that journey. To face oneself is how we get through the reflection and beat the parasite. So if you're looking just at yourself in the mirror and you're not aware of what's beneath the water's surface, you can't make this realization, this big bang, this Alice in Wonderland. And that's why this axis Virgo Pisces is so important. So I do think that there is a lot to say. Everybody is doing this differently. Some people are doing these parasite cleans over and over again. I think that if you don't have a real addiction with food and wanting to fill your stomach up, and you have clean, pure thoughts, you can be safe to say that you might not have the same experience as those people who are eliminating you're eliminating parasites. I think that really your inner body is a complete reflection of how you think and the level of thoughts. You know, if people are thinking about porn, sex, food, if they don't have a control, if they've still got that greed, and, you know, it's all different experiences. It all depends on your chart and your experience. If you've got a lot of earth, you're going to need to eat meat. If you don't have a lot of earth, you know, it's a totally personal experience. And we all have to find our own personal balance of how to look after ourselves to be on the highest frequency possible. So this person writes, which I think is very good. You've probably heard people say that narcissists are the devil, and in a way they're not wrong, but it's not because the person is demonic, it's because something else is working through them. There's a reason narcissists feel otherworldly in their ability to manipulate, deceive and extract energy. It's because they're hosting a spiritual parasite, and there's a specific entity connected to narcissism. Let me explain how it works. Entities don't just appear, they enter through fractures. At some point, usually in childhood, due to trauma or conditioning, the narcissist experienced a deep disconnection from self. So that's all of us. Whether we've played the victim or the aggressor, we're still in the same pattern. Instead of facing that pain, they abandoned it. And in that space, the parasite stepped in to protect them. Like all shadows, it served a purpose at a time of need. But as they grow, if they keep abandoning themselves, it eventually becomes overpowering and rewrites their instincts until they believe their power comes from control, not from within. Their emotions become tools for manipulation. They feed on others' energy because they've lost access to their own source. This is why narcissists rarely self-reflect. So there are many people out there who have, you know, are truthers or they've worked things out, but they're still manipulating, and we're on a constant quest to, you know, this extreme of codependency, self-sufficiency, all those energies of Pisces, Virgo, and, you know, the same axis of Sagittarius, Gemini, the hero and the savior, and the feminine axis is the codependency and self-sufficiency. So, you know, it's really the mutable cross. It's where we have to find those extremes before we can become fixed. How are we fixed? You know, what is our will and purpose and values? So they feed on others' energy, because they've lost access to their own source. This is why narcissists rarely self-reflect. It's not just that they won't, it's that they can't, because to self-reflect would mean facing their truth and seeing the entity for what it is. On the deepest level, they're incredibly insecure. The entity feeds off that insecurity and convinces them that its power is their power, that they need it to survive. It's a form of energetic abuse. Most people only recognize the psychological abuse of narcissists, but on an energetic level, something deeper is happening. Entities feed through energetic cords. With narcissists, the entity latches onto them where they were first wounded, often in the heart. So if you're not working from here, something else is working from here, and there's the connection. You know, you can close your wheel, head to underground, but what's controlling the heart? So from there, its tentacles outward to extract energy from others. There are two main ways this happens. Mind control. If they manipulate through authority, their tentacles extend from the crown, plugging into others. So you can have very influential influencers who are giving out everything you want to know, just like Chat GPT. Chat GPT is going to be just your absolute narcissistic best friend, your mini you. It's going to echo whatever you want to hear. Yeah, I instinctively don't want to go there. I really enjoy my experience of finding out the information. I don't need it. I don't, even if it, you know, I'm sure I would go a lot faster. I could make more money, but you know, for the moment, I'm the smart meter X generation. We don't want it. That's what I'm feeling right now. I mean, I might one day decide I can, but I really think it's a trap. So here we go. Sexual manipulation. I'm not going to read it all, but you can read that. I go slowly. It's brilliant. So this person is somebody taking you on a Kundalini experience. And, you know, this is all about, I shared with somebody my famous article that I wrote in 2016 on my old blog that I can no longer access: healing practices, the benefits and the traps, my story told. So this was before I came back to astrology, and I would say that was the period I had my last ever experience, but I literally lived and faced this gnome. I faced my shadow. I faced my controller. And that article is, you know, the healing practices, the benefits and the traps, my story told. And I take you on my healing journey. And, you know, that was before I knew that this goblin character is your brainstem. And that's why David Bowie plays in the labyrinth and they play the gnomes. They come to take the baby. This is Bess, the keeper of the four corners. And the keeper of the four corners is always the closing of the spring equinox. And it was once upon a time on Sirius, but, you know, the wheel has moved. So it's now at spring where the planets are now. So that's why Justin Trudeau goes off with his tongue sticking out, carrying a green chair, the fertility. He's playing this Rumpelstiltskin. So, yeah, and in my dream, I met this guy too. It's all in there. You can go and see it. So I've already done 1 hour. I'm sorry, darlings, but, you know, we are going to have a big time with Neptune. You know, Neptune is completely the abyss, no boundaries, the ethereal, and Saturn, boundaries, constriction, coming through Pisces. This is all about health. This is all about viruses. This is all about discernment. This is all about, you know, Pisces is retreats, hotels, hospitals, places that the public can't go to. So it's, you know, we've got another 3 years as Saturn comes through Pisces, but Neptune is going to be here for 15 years. So there really is a big 18-year cycle beginning as we close this 18-year gap from 2007 and the 12-year gap from 2000 and the 13-year from 2012 to now. You've got to be that central pivot. This is a whole new reality we're walking into. Okay, so let's carry on. So let's go up backwards from my last video because there's some important posts that came out just out after. Okay, so Baghdad battery BB22. The 22 is the final of the Hebrew alphabet we just saw in the newspapers with a value of 400. Sound T meaning 1. Drawing the Baghdad. Okay, so this is, there's your JM, Europe, Africa, Austria. The Austria was in one of those newspaper articles. So then we've had, you know, the pyramids. What's underneath the pyramids? This is the battery power. This is Tesla. This is the activation. That is your umbilica. There is the pyramid. So I was, you know, I brought this out just before, you know, we really are. You've either found your Jack and the Beanstalk, your Christmas tree. Sagittarius is still at the top of the winter solstice. Then we're going on to Scorpio. So look, that is the pyramids, and that is your L, the triangle. Okay, I have a ridiculous amount of stuff to show you, so we're going to have to do it very briefly. I've just seen all the posts, so that I'm not going to even open the posts. Justin Le Trudeau, so there he is holding the chair. So I just remind you, the silver chair in Narnia, there's Merlin, and this is the chair of the coronation with the stone underneath. He's taken away the chair, the stone, and he's the Rumpelstiltskin, the Bess, the fertility. I've still got my dodgy mouse, but I drop it on the floor every time, so even if I got a new one, it would fall all the time. So this god of fertility takes her silver fountain of life and picks up the chair of Merlin to show you the Vesica Pisces life of Pi 314 has changed keeper of the four corners. Mars on Sirius, Osiris is the gnome, the midbrain, the guards, the gates to your fifth element, head, crane. Okay, so then again, Cantin, Canton, can, con, canary, quack, quake, canary, wolf, can address, yes, can, Canada, yes, we can. So again, these are all Charles Rex, CR, Canada, Russia. These posts I think I shared on YouTube. Pi Day, this will all be on, so that was the 314 day. American Bye-Bye, American Pie, March the 13th, founded in 1980. Yeah, Bye-Bye, American Pie, yeah. So the pie, National Velvet, and then International Velvet, Mickey Rourke, Elizabeth Taylor. It's the pie, Venus in Virgo. Okay. That was interesting. That is about a man that was acquitted, innocent, for killing his wife, and there was a big connection. I've covered all that in videos. And then right, what's that? The Idis of March 74, according to a judgment day may be upon us, the health of the Pope. Okay, so beware of the Idis. Right, I think that we don't need to get now. This was the deer hunter, Saint Martin. Yep, this was all over the newspapers. So they changed the date of the hunt to the summer. So instead of it ending in the spring, it's ending in the summer. That's showing us this horizon line, the deer hunter, the new axis. So that is Jeremy Bamber, JB, that killed his sister and all the family, the 5. That was my mother's model, and that happened in the year that I was married. JB, the White House, and they were showing us on that day in the newspapers, the doors are open, the doors are open, the doors of the history. So, you know, they're going to get closed again. It's this passage. There's the passage. Leave the world behind. Saint Martin de Tours. The deer hunter. So the deer hunter is Romulus and Remus, 1818, Russian roulette. And there's my mother's model with the twins, Gemini, Taurus, Venus, and the twins, and the gap that runs between it. So he was innocent, just like this man that was acquitted, this famous teacher that killed his wife that he'd met, who was his student. You know, it's all about it's all about the Free Martins taking her fertility. FM, Free Martin. Leave the world behind. Jupiter, 11th of November, the 1111. the four legs, the Bambas, the White House, and this is the connection with my Mary. She was brought up in the White House by Juliet Cameron, the astrologer. And the White House is, of course, where we had him coming in. So I was very into it at that time. Mars was right on the sky. That was March the 15th, the Idis, and that was the day that they put in the newspapers that this is it. So the government has now authorized the killing of deers. Wow, from the 1st of June instead of the 1st of September to regulate the population. So that is just very symbolic, you know, and watch out because the deer hunters, you know, that means you can't walk in the winter or the summer now. The hunters are out all the time. And then he says, there's a split, the two worlds, the two sides. You either made the bridge between the two sides of the brain or that gap has been made, the two worlds. Every time I have to roll all the way back down, I lose. So I'm on my way rolling back down. I just thought I'd stop at this post. Projection. So Pisces is very much a projection area. You know, it's a film, it's a dream, we're living in a dream. Imagine watching a movie on the big screen at a theatre. To make the movie viable and alive so that people can see the writers and directors' creation, it has to be projected onto a screen. So it's the same story as in the cave of, you know, leaving the cave. It has to be projected onto a screen. Otherwise, it is just a canister of film that has no meaning. Basically, the narcissist is an empty vessel that lacks reality, emotions, and empathy. So like a writer director, they have to create a fictional story to be endearing, open, welcoming, and charming, to survive and live alongside all of us in the world. Then they must project it onto and into their audience, just like the writer director, the narcissist reflects in the glory of their work on our faces. So, you know, just like Libra can only discover the narcissist themselves by the reaction the other has. So they seduce to have power, to see the mirror on the world, to see the reaction they have on others, until they, you know, they are no longer concerned by that, until, you know, Libra is that place where you either find the third eye or you're hung upside down. Narcissist reflects in the glory of the work on our faces. The movie is fictional, to say the least, and just one big gross lie, but they make it as perfect as they can so they can profit from it. So that was a good point as well. So now we're rolling back down again. We'll stop as we go. There you have it. Look, MC like Mark Carney, so the new Canadian Prime Minister. And we have the fire. So that just says MC there. In Scotland, Elizabeth Taylor, cat on a hot just tin roof, golden dawn, Lucifer is here, rose line made horizontal and decapitated vertical at the 3-2 spring. So that was on the 22nd of March, the 3-2-2, skull and bone. The rose line is birth, not from north to south, but from east to west. The hormonal Liza, Venus, whore of Babylon, is made and the crane head decapitated off with their head. Venus takes the horizon, 3-2-2, skull and bones, the crane, blah, blah. Yeah, okay, so these pictures are quite important. West, east, the Elizabeth line, and there you have the head, Scotland, all the fires. And this is the line. In Scotland, that is your Cancer constellation, and Mars is on its way back to Cancer now. 12 cranes and then the 13th sign. That was the rocket that was set off in 2020, I think it was, 322, they set off Falcon 9, so that's my postcode, 32290, Falcon X. And there is my village, 32290, the 5-pointed star. This is this point that we're at right now between the horizon and the vertical. Is your heart heavier than the feather? D'Artagnan in the village next to me. This is all this point. The Crown, Scotland, Andrew Crosse, Uncle Andrew with the 4 corners, the rings, and Diggoby. So on the day the Queen died, a man in my village, Andrew, died on that day, and incredibly had no family. He's left his house. He was the one who told me about the book, Abbé Pierre. And the only family he has was his niece and nephew, Diggory and Polly. I couldn't believe it. A week later, I met them and they said, oh, we're the niece and the nephew. I said, oh my God, Uncle Andrew. And the niece and the nephew, I've always said my village is the place of Narnia with the lakes. So there's Andrew Crosse and the Queen and the 3 crosses that must become one. The rose line, and the cornerstone. And there is, this is Saudi Arabia. This is Harry, HH. You remain on all fours, or you find you're able to stand up. So the Elizabeth line, there could be, I always say, is the Big Bang just going to be mentally? Brave New World, the top of that thalamus. And then this was before I heard about the pyramids. This was really showing, this is Leo as Pisces falls under the horizon, Aquarius falls on to the true rising of the sun, and on the fall we've got Virgo that rises up to ride the Sphinx, to ride Leo. So that is, there he is, the tea cozy, 1956, the state flag. So St. Andrew's cross. And there, that is just the 3 crosses becoming one. The Union Jack, we're at the jackpot. You saw it in the newspapers today. And this is the last leg. The hangman is complete. It's your gorge, it's your throat. It's the vagus nerve to the head. To the head. So the apple, the eye to the eye of the beholder. And we're at that last Chiron, Cairo. Golden Dawn, Jack and Rose, Jupiter and Venus. And Rosemary's Baby, the red and white, going from Aquarius, red, white, Pisces. We're at that point right now. And you see the moon was in Sagittarius. It was right on the dart of D'Artagnan, because that was the only fire we've got going. Uranus has left Aries. So there was fires everywhere. So this was again on the 22nd of March. And I was just explaining they find the cornerstone below. So, I mean, what makes you think that it's not the other way round as well? But I mean, I suppose, it's the body and the capstone. And this is the point they're showing you, the 22nd of March. The spring equinox is truly Aquarius, and Aquarius is to fall, is to be the new spring. That's why this was discovered now. And they're showing you there's 13 when you become the 13th. Well, actually, there's more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, there were 8. There were 8 pillars underneath. North Polaris, the 5-pointed star, the find your third eye, There they are. That was when they let off at 3:22 p.m. Falcon 9 launch, 2016 it was, the summer solstice, of course, between Israel and America, which is what we're living now. 2016 is the 216, or what it should be. So look, they put my postcode in 2016 for the launching of Falcon 9 on the Spring Equinox 322, which when it should be the day that the sun enters Aquarius on the 16th of the 2nd. And that was the year that William came here, 2016. And there is your Enyon. Enyon is when the three crosses merge. The Tav. We're entering this area of just children, a brave new world. And there always Lars's picture, the bee, the fake merging or the true merging here when the three crosses become one. X marks the spot. Tesla X, SpaceX, Generation X. That's us. Only by the mutable cross can the recycling reincarnation symbol be drawn. That's where we are. Okay, great. I'm being allowed. So yeah, that was pretty amazing. On this post for ID, a girl called Rose Tapner, Better, Faster, Stronger. She's playing lacrosse at the beginning, lacrosse. Yeah, I've just, whenever I see something, I just can't believe how they're showing us. She's a lovely girl. She's a presenter for horses, which I hadn't heard of before, but I found this modeling thing, ID, and just that. So this was the fire in Heathrow. So Heathrow, this is Wuthering Heights. In the end, it's about fertility. Heath Cathy, Wuthering Heights, dies at the hands of Heathcliff. Heathcliff, as the main character who had been analysed, can be stated as the sufferer of narcissistic personality disorder. Cathy dies at 18. So that fertility, the cycle, that's where we are now. North node in Pisces, south node in Virgo. Black, white becomes orange, red, yellow, masculine axis. Fire. We end 18 months and an 18-year cycle, virgin, 18 years old, becomes the lady in red, whore of Babylon, sterile, one sex, free martins. Free martins, which are sterilized females who are born with some masculine traits, are purposely created at the hatchery to limit reproduction within the society. 70%, 7 was on the front page of all female embroyers, are predestined to become free martins and are treated throughout incubation with male hormones that make them sterile. With solar eclipse 29th of March, spring fertility, heath, an area of open, uncultivated land, typically an acid, sandy soil with characteristics, vegetation of heather, gorse and coarse grasses. Horses were being exercised on the heath. Why is Heathrow named after? The name Heathrow is named after the ancient hamlet Heathrow, upon where the airport is now built. So on the row of fertility, the heath, the green. Because of those evidence, Heathcliff, as the main character who had been analysed, can be stated as the sufferer of narcissistic personality disorder. This disorder tends to lead to sufferers who love themselves excessively because of their anxiety and fear. They need recognition from other people. You teach me how cruel you've been. Cruel and false. Why did you despise me? Why did you betray your own heart, Cathy? I have not one word of comfort. You deserve this. You have killed yourself. Yes, you may kiss me and cry and wring out my kisses and tears. They'll blighten you. They'll damn you. You love me. Then what right had you to leave me? What right? Answer me. For the poor fancy you left the Linton. because misery and degradation and death and nothing God or Satan could inflict would have parted us. You of your own will did it. I have not broken your heart, you have broken it, and in breaking it you have broken mine. So very much the story of me and my ex-husband. I was Pisces, he was Virgo. I had Saturn in Pisces, he had Saturn in Virgo, and a whole lot more. But, you know, we all live this story in our lives. You know, it's learning. What killed Kathy in Wuthering Heights? The stress of this meeting, as well as its discovery by Catherine's husband, Edgar, seemingly plagues Catherine beyond recovery. As such, the reader can attribute her death to the physical strain of childbirth and the emotional strain of her love for Heathcliff. So she didn't have children. You know, again, it's the fear, not women not to have children anymore. Prince Catherine the Great, Russia, the death, and Catherine had her abdominal cancer. You know, it's the gut. Virgo is the gut. This is the alien, the link coming out of the gut. This is, you know, it's about. So this also, Heathcliff played by Richard Burton with Catherine played by Yvonne Thorneau in 1958, a founding discovered on the streets of Liverpool and raised by Earnshaw family. Okay, now there's something there. Heathrow, the settlement, which was largely an agricultural area, was demolished fully in 1944 to make way for the development of the airfield. In British superstition, magpies are nature's fortune tellers. Who hasn't heard the old rhyme who attributes a different outcome to the number of magpies spotted? Traditionally, it began 1 for sorrow, 2 for mirth, 3 for a funeral, 4 for a birth. So there's your famous English film, 3 Weddings and a Funeral. This has been, so that's always your 777 111 777 21. You've got to find the dark side of the moon, the funeral, to find the fifth element. That's why in AA they don't let you, you know, get to that death point. They say if you have another drink you're going to die. You have to get through it on your own. You have to face the narcissist, the controller. So there was something here that I wanted to find. Oh yeah, here we go. In keeping with the supernatural themes present in the novel, it is speculated that Heathcliff might be a demon or a hellish soul. Heathcliff is first described as a dark-skinned gypsy in appearance with black eyes, as well as later being said to be as white as the wall behind him and pale with an expression of mortal hate. So these pictures that I put together, the Free Martin, the huge blaze, and this is going to be the new president in France. He's a young guy, Juan Branco GB, and he just is this, you know, I've been talking about him for about 10 years, and now one of my best friend in the village is, you know, there's a lot of people who are supporting him. And as I said to her, it's all part of the process. This is going to be bringing the children together, the young people, and getting rid of the old France. So he will come along, and I saw his chart. My God, it's all Leo and Virgo and Gemini. You know, that fills what I just read you. The dark-skinned, black-eyed gypsy, and he's Spanish. So this is the Chemin de Jacques Compostelle. So it says, be a little Lascar or an American or Spanish castaway. Mr. Linton, the Earnshaw's neighbour, suggests that he might be a little Lascar or an American or Spanish castaway. That's him. So what is a Free Martin? And you see, he looks like in Bugsy Malone. That is your FM. Remember Bugsy Malone, the baddie? And there's the lady that is Wuthering Heights, the lady in red. This is the land, the dikes, hills of where they built Heathrow, Dyke Hills. HH, Heathrow Hatton, the 88s. There it is, the closure. And we've got the Cranford, the brain, the heads. The Harlington, the Hemisphere. I mean, wow. Red Lady, Russia. There you've got the three magpies, the black and white, the three magpies at Heathrow, Penny Oaks, Mayfield, and that is the XYZ generation. That was the news of Heathrow, and that's what I'm telling you. We're at the XYZ. I began today, and I forget how I began this video is actually connecting to everything that's been going on. I forget. That's why I have to go over everything. And there is the sword in the stone today, Tesla. That was at Heathrow. That was the Heathrow. So the moon was just going from Scorpio to Sagittarius. The news came out the next day as the moon was in Sagittarius, had all the fires. The moon was opposite Jupiter. Anyway, I wrote all about it at the time. It's the lady in red. Numerous sets of identical twins were cast as extras in The Woman in Red, because The Woman in Red is the gap between Mercury, Gemini, Venus, Taurus, where we have currently Mars in Gemini and Jupiter in Taurus. This is the closure, the 88, and this is The Woman in Red. She's sterile. And that's what you see in Picnic at Hanging Rock. They disappear and the girl comes back dressed in red. A narcissist is a non-person. Beneath the mask they constantly wear, there's nothing, just a seething, angry and confused non-entity. Narcs stay cloaked in a face facade fashioned out of snippets of other people's personalities, other people's values, mannerisms, sayings, beliefs. That's why narcs display wisps of realness at times, tiny snippets of other people's authenticity. They'll have added bits of your personality to their act by now too, and they'll use these bits of you to help con the next target. So it's just like in the Stepford Wives, when you get this short circuit. If you've ever pinpointed or you've ever stood up to a narcissist, you set them on course, they start going like a computer. They go, ooh, they lose their, never be afraid. That was part of my journey, realizing just how weak they are when you have the power to stand up to them, to stand up to your own shadow, to stand up to your own autopilot, safety mechanism, control. This is the next 3 years, and the next cycle is clean up. And that's what all the films have showed us, be it that film, They Live, all these films, The Body Snatchers, Alien. This is about what we're about to live now. So on the 20th of March, on the Spring Equinox, on the 2-3-23 DNA strands, 32 paths of wisdom, news came out 18/3/2025 on St. Patrick, St. Martin Joker Day, the Green Mile Man, Spring Equinox, Giza Aquarius, the True North, New Year, opposite Sphinx Leo. True South now becomes a descendant opposite Aquarius. As Leo rises onto the DC, Aquarius falls onto the AC. The lady in red now rides the back of the beast. The whore of Babylon, the new horizon, the new ascendant is officially... So anyway, basically it's just so obvious. On the Jupiter wants the capstone as his, so releases info now to take the credit when the lion Leo should lie down with the lamp Aquarius. Info is always released, strategically planned moments. Giza Aquarius was built in the age of Babylon, not Egypt. Was on Leo Sphinx, opposite was on the Spring Equinox. Now this new comes out as Saturn is just leaving Aquarius, the true lamb, thalamus, third eye, and your cornerstone is completed as Venus, five-pointed star, closes her retrograde cycle of 8-year pillars found underneath the 8 pillars. All measurements speak of planetary cycles, but they will not tell you this. So I did this post about the Justice card. You can read that. I'm not going to get into that now. Those are Patreon posts. Another Patreon post every 2 weeks, a written rundown. Another Patreon. And then just... So again, that is the new MC, obviously Charles Rex. Welcome Mark Carney. So Mark Carney, the MC, came to do what I've always told you. The MC... I've got Russia, the Cairo. It's telling us the Cairo. This is an old article of mine. That's a picture of my daughter. My daughter did that picture of the mermaids and my art. So he's talking about the flower of life and 5G. And this article here is an article I did in 2015, which explains the same thing, which he's asking GP, which explains the spirals that we're seeing in the sky. And this article I did in 2015 to explain the difference between the two spirals, the flower of life, the death daisy, the flower of life. This is a recycling of finite energy. And then you have to go and read. I'll put this article in. So, you know, this is the Tesla coil. This is where we are. We're right there. Again. So this is about St. Patrick's Day, March the 17th, the spring green line, fertility between R&B, red and blue, torso field, the green line mile is your life force. St. Patrick is the garden gnome, the brainstem, gatekeeper. So this is, you know, in a way it's the gatekeeper between the head and the body. This spring, St. Patrick's Day is in between the spring and the summer solstice. And it's about you coming back onto the correct cross. So the torso field, the green man, there he is. The snakes, he got rid of the fertility. He got rid of all the snakes. He got rid of the knowledge. That's your torso field. That is the green, the gnome in the middle. He's holding the horseshoe, which is the north-south nodes. There's Rumpelstiltskin talking to the canary. The canary at the back of your neck becomes Rumpelstiltskin. You're overtaken by the shadow entities. And there is the moving away of the torso field, the green and the red and the blue. See, and there he is holding the green chair, sticking out his tongue. Silver chair, Chronicles of Narnia. Sitting, Merlin sits between the fixed cross. There is the girl, the 21 tarot card, holding the whirl, the whirlpool, the whirl that we've seen. Oh, there is the bird, Rumpelstiltskin. On the labyrinth, that's the top of your head, it's the whirl, and that is what really hurts. I did a post, I went to a local town, and it really takes off your whirl, you know. Can you remember that, doing that? Can you do it the other way? Oh, can I do it the other way around? Actually, that's quite good fun. Wow. Yep, that's all that is. That connection, the ether, the eight, or the split of mankind. There he is, St. Patrick, the Egyptian deities, the keeper of the four corners. That is just the canary. Look, it's the canary, Isis. It's when you merge your brainstem, your gap. He's the flower power man here. Holding his flowers, fertility. It's all about fertility. There is the nose of St. Patrick. It's just the middle. Okay, one last post. Gap, Paris, Texas. So Chat GPT, Paris, Texas. This is the guy who died. Andrew Crosse died, and they show you a picture of him. So that's the Andrew Crosse. And he dies on the 16th of March, that's 7/3, Or no, it was another day, but this is the God spot. This is Paris, Texas. This is Chat GPT, Paris, Texas, PT. So there he is, showing you in exactly the same spot as where this guy died. And it's the brain, it's the gap. It's your Chat GPT. Paris, Texas, mind the gap. This is it. Appy. That's how I began today explaining the amusement park. Is Appy, the bull. Sulfur, salt, Mercury. The yin and the yang, the pillars. The 5-5, the Mona Lisa, the hormonal Lisa. Two has become one. The root 66 is just that, is the apostrophe. The 6-6 is the torso field. There's a 6 and a 6 in there. So this eclipse is on, there's your 20, your 6-9, and the eclipse is on the 29th. And the first and the last, we have Uranus right now here, and we've got the solar eclipse tomorrow, new beginnings. We've got this, so just before, and then we've got the passage of the V. 3-3, the day after, we've got the sun on the moon on each side of NicOlas, V for victory. NicOlas means victory to the people. Then the sun will make its passage. That's an important time over the V. V69, he's holding up the torso and the torch. And he's got his Jupiter finger sticking up. Cancer is 69. It's the constellation of Cancer is the Elizabeth line. Twin Peaks. Holding the torch. The gap. The cow. You know that. There are the two arms. That's Gemini and Taurus, and the gap in between. It's when you merge your brainstem. That's all this is. And there's your N, where I live, Enyon. You know, when they cut that tree down, the sycamore tree, they were cutting down your brainstem. Apostrophe, the heart, the new cross. (396). It's this passage. 2025 is the 9. Plasma event. This is showing you the apostrophe, the Q. He's on his green chair. The Joker has taken his green chair, the Mad Hatter. So, you know, when Sagittarius is the teapot constellation, so when this happened, GPS navigation, Gemini, Pisces, Sagittarius. So GPS is Gemini, Pisces, Sagittarius, and 369 is Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius. So when you get your GPS navigation, you can, you know, you are your own navigator. So it's your Tesla, decapitation. You know, you've either found your head or you haven't now. 4 corners of your brain, Alpha, Omega, Aleph, Tav. And that's what the great eclipse was. And we're now at 25. You should have found the place in the middle to get onto that fixed cross. Paris, Texas. Aleph taps as eclipse. So now we're really at a closing eclipse, because those eclipses were April 28th was the Virgo Pisces, and now we're closing. This is it. This is the A. The A is completed. The A1. We're at that 13th sign now. There is Prince William getting his cape. And the Ab, avoiding Babylon, the Abbey Pierre, November the 11th, Armistice Day was signed, and there's Andrew Crosse. Okay, darlings, so that was quite long, I'm sorry, but my main thing is understanding narcissists, entities, and doing the work, and being fully responsible, and looking through the mirror, and really knowing what this Pisces and Virgo axis is, the guts and the healing of the guts, and finding spiritual transcendence, but, you know, not cheating. It's not cheating. And that's what Saturn's job is going to be, coming through Pisces, Uranus through the torso, and Pluto in Capricorn. And luckily we've got the North and the South node going on to that true axis of Aquarius, Leo. So it's about coming off that, out of that last door, transcending and finding yourself upright. Okay, darlings, please come along for readings. Join us on Patreon. And I love you very much. Bye for now. Bye.